Welcome to King 5. I'm Greg Copeland. This is The Week, a look at what made headlines in our region, along with your weekend forecast. By far, the biggest story of the week has been the wildfires, the destruction, the air quality. We're going to begin with the Spokane complex fire and the devastation it caused for thousands of people across eastern Washington. It's been called the worst natural disaster in Spokane's history. The fires there have burned thousands of acres, destroyed hundreds of structures, and forced tens of thousands of people to evacuate. Firefighters have had their hands full trying to contain it and protect more homes from burning. A look back now at a week of fire, evacuations, and loss, and the people who have been on the front line.
Body camera video from a Spokane County firefighter shows the intensity on the front lines in this northwest Spokane neighborhood.
When I saw billowing smoke from behind my neighbor's house, that's when I just went, I gotta just get what I can and hightail it out of there.
New homeowner Matthew Kincannon, like many, hoped the Spokane River would hold the fire's advance. News that it jumped sent him and entire neighborhoods scrambling for safety.
It was at 2 a.m. on Sunday. I was going through Facebook and I saw a video clip of somebody just driving by. On the right side of the road, I saw what looked like my neighborhood, and everything was gone.
The Old Trails fire has become the most devastating in the area's history. Hundreds of homes gone. 65,000 people evacuated across the entirety of the Spokane complex fires.
Please rise.
Heartbreak turned to anger this week with news that a 37-year-old man was arrested and charged with first-degree arson.
Mesa detectives say 21-year-old Aaron Farinacci shot his father last night.
Aaron Farinacci is a convicted felon who served more than a decade in an Arizona prison for killing his own father.
What's the punishment? What could the punishment be?
He was arrested Monday after investigators say 3 independent witnesses placed him near the fire's point of origin shortly before smoke appeared.
I cannot let this pain dominate my heart, because I'm going through so much right now as it is. And if I let this dominate my heart, it's going to affect me long term in ways that I may not fully understand.
As firefighters gain ground, homeowners are wrestling with the pain of starting over, knowing someone now stands accused of intentionally setting the fire.
But for me, I will someday find forgiveness and be able to let go of that pain and start the new life that I plan to build with my fiance and my family.
The Old Trails fire stopped feet from Ann Figg's doorstep.
I was devastated to see this. Just devastated.
Her son Greg is sweeping ash and drywall from homes across the street. They say one family was supposed to close on a house today, while another watched everything burn through security cameras.
He said before he left, he turned the cameras
around. He said he watched it burn. It must have come flying up that hill.
This is too dangerous this way right now.
Across Spokane, police and National Guard troops are trying to keep people out of evacuation zones. People eager to know when they can go home.
We pushed, and it was made very, very clear, and I trust the folks in this room. We don't know.
State and local officials say crews are going neighborhood to neighborhood and even using satellites to bring the scope of damage into focus. An assessment that could reach about 1,100 structures damaged.
I've been to a lot of places around the world, not so good places around the world, and I can tell you today that that's a war zone.
The fires packed a punch. The damage has even surpassed destruction from the 1991 historic wildfire disaster known as Firestorm, where 114 homes burned to the ground.
We've lived here a long time and we've never seen anything to this magnitude. Firestorm in '91 was a monster.
In the coming weeks, people will look for hope. Outside one of the homes, Holly and Randy are surprised to find an angel untouched.
It's just a sign. It's a miracle.
For some.
I think that's a reminder of hope.
This is the easy part, the cleanup.
Officials are asking people to stay away while firefighters tend to hotspots like this and assess damage like this. Those same firefighters are staying at places like hotels, high school gymnasiums, and even pitching tents outside. Live in Spokane, Alex McClune, King 5 News.
This is what a lot of people are waking up to, coming back to, or wondering if they even have a home after all these fires, the Spokane area complex fires. And you can see what's left of this house here. Looks like this was the front lawn. There's pieces of shrapnel here and debris in the rubble. Also, you can see that watering can that was burned in this fire. And this is just, again, one example of what we're seeing through a lot of northwest Spokane, especially right now. I mean, take a look. You can see this street, the next street, the next street, all of these homes completely leveled. I mean, and you can see what's left of the chimney here, some burned chairs and benches there, and also this ramp heading up to the house. Thursday morning, hundreds of homes have been destroyed. A lot of homes looking exactly like this with not much left here. Some residents have been allowed to return, but thousands are still displaced as firefighters work to get these fires under control. Many families here in Spokane remain evacuated, waiting to see whether their house survived or to collect the belongings they had to leave behind.
People who've never evacuated before, we don't know what to take. You know, really, we have no idea. And so you take what you think, and then you get out and it's like, oh, I didn't bring this, these are the same clothes I wore when I left.
This body camera video from a Spokane County firefighter shows just how intense the fire was as crews fought to save homes here. Together, the Spokane complex fires have burned more than 10,000 acres. And crews are making progress, but they're still racing against the weather, and there's hotter, drier, and windier conditions expected tomorrow into the weekend. This morning, we're seeing cooler weather, which is giving crews a window to make progress here, but that window will quickly be closing as temperatures are expected to reach the 90s again today. Humidity expected to drop back into the teens, and also those gusty conditions, southwesterly winds expected to pick up today through the weekend, and that obviously is not going to help with fire weather either. So again, we're looking at critical fire weather today through the weekend as crews continue to get containment numbers up and work to put out all of these 3 fires, again, burning here in the Spokane area. Reporting in Spokane, Savannah Welch, King 5 News.
Didn't take long for police to make an arrest in this case. A Spokane man is now facing an arson charge, accused of starting one of those 3 wildfires. According to court documents, witnesses saw 37-year-old Aaron Farinacci near the area where that fire started. Investigators also say he was carrying a lighter, cigarettes, and waterproof matches. King 5 Sebastian Robertson has more on the evidence outlined in court documents and what investigators say happened before that fire started.
Please rise.
Thank you. Please be seated. The newly filed court documents paint the picture of a troubled man obsessed with fire who spent 2 weeks meticulously planning out what would become the destructive Old Trails fire.
To know that all could have been avoided is heartbreaking, man.
Records show shortly after his arrest, Farinacci told police he hadn't started any fires. But an hour and a half into the interview, he started talking. He admitted being a serial arsonist who'd set 25 fires near his Spokane apartment since last year. He told investigators fire is powerful, beautiful, and symbolizes a kind of rebirth.
They do find probable cause for the amended charges and finding probable cause at this time.
Spokane prosecutors now charging him with 5 counts of arson, including for intentionally starting the Aubrey White fire in July of 2025, which grew to more than 1,200 acres. Investigators say tips from the public first led them to Farinacci. Deputies contacted him the day the Old Trails fire started and found him carrying waterproof matches and a lighter, but didn't yet have enough evidence to arrest him.
I'm disgusted. Like I said, we sat in our car for 3 hours in the Safeway parking lot, waiting it out with our 10-year-old in the back seat asking, are we going to be okay? What's going on? So something that she's going to remember for the rest of her life, and knowing somebody caused that is horrible.
Investigators say Farinacci admitted he knew arson was an easy crime to get away with if you have time.
Oh my God.
The Spokane community devastated to learn a man is behind bars, suspected of intentionally sparking what would become the Old Trails fire.
What's the punishment? What could the punishment be? I'm a Christian, and I can't imagine what goes through a person's mind.
Investigators have arrested this 37-year-old man, Aaron Farinacci, on suspicion of first-degree arson. This is a mugshot of the suspect from a previous conviction for manslaughter in Arizona. The suspect was initially detained the day the fire started, but released before investigators later developed enough evidence to make a second arrest. according to the Spokane County Sheriff's Office.
My family barely got out of this alive. Like, we literally left right before we even got the evacuation notice.
Emotions are raw as thousands have been evacuated. Homes in the neighborhood reduced to the foundation.
Kids are probably gonna have to go to counseling for dealing with all that with PTSD. Like, our daughter has anxiety, man, and to find out that, like, somebody started that, like, there's a lot of families. A teacher that I work with right behind my house lost everything that he had, including his pets, and like, to know that that all could have been avoided is heartbreaking, man.
Heartbreak as evacuation orders remain in place. Homeowners still waiting to see the damage with their own eyes.
When we come back, our King 5 weather team shows you what to expect in the forecast this weekend, right after this.
Hey everyone, welcome to the weekend. I am King 5 meteorologist Adam Claiborne. Boy, what an active week. We didn't really see precipitation or anything like that, but we did have a good amount of smoke here across the area, and it was hot for a few of our days. And as we head now into the weekend, we're expecting things to be very comfortable, more like that typical Pacific Northwest summer, which we all love and enjoy. And so over the next couple of days, do expect to see areas of sunshine, temperatures to be much closer to average, maybe a few more clouds out there. But another thing too, central and eastern Washington do have another round of high fire potential that's going to be around for the area. So we're going to get into that here right now. Let's go ahead and talk about what we're expecting here as far as air quality. All green and good to go for the most part. Across the higher terrain, if you do have any hiking plans, make sure that you prepare for more of the moderate air quality, but still the worst of it is going to be farther east across the state as you'll deal with some areas of unhealthy and very unhealthy air quality over there, as well as unhealthy for sensitive groups. But western Washington, we are good and fine to go here as we go throughout more of the days on Saturday and Sunday. You can see that that smoke just continues to stay away as that strong westerly wind does take over, and it will be gusty at times farther east as well. And so that's going to be an issue, and we'll talk about that here coming up in a bit. Let's take a look at the forecast. Next 7-day stretch, we got a lot of sunshine ahead for us and plenty of temperatures that won't be varying all that much at all, generally in the upper 70s or the lower 80s. And a good amount of sunshine too, just a few more clouds for the earlier part of the day on Saturday, and then it looks like maybe a few more clouds next Wednesday as we cool down just a bit more. Okay, so radar does keep things quiet. We have high pressure now moving off towards the east, and that system that you see out this way over the Pacific, well, what it's doing is helping to generate and pull in a bit more of this onshore flow, which has really knocked down some of the higher temperatures we have been dealing with. But at the same time, too, that's going to be coming up and over the Cascades, and for eastern Washington, it will become gusty at times with some of those winds. And so we could see some of those winds between about 30, maybe 35 miles per hour gusting at those points. And with some of the fires that we already have in place, the dry vegetation and the dry conditions and just everything that's already around and across those spots, we're going to have a high fire danger, and that will be in place again for Saturday as we expect that red flag warning here to be in place until 11 p.m. heading into Saturday night. Again, a very high fire potential, but if you do remember, back last week, we were dealing with a much worse situation. Winds not quite as strong this time, but definitely nothing to overlook either. Definitely want to take that seriously as well. All right, looking at our winds here as we go throughout the day, you'll see that more of that wind does start to come back around heading on into the day on Saturday. And yes, it is going to be really ramping up, more so mid to late morning or mid to late afternoon, and continuing into the earlier part of the evening. That's the key time frame, so 2 to 3 p.m. until about, I would say, 7 or 8 p.m. that evening. And that's when we expect to see some of those stronger gusts and becoming a bit more widespread. Here we are at 7:30, and you can see some of those oranges and pinks beginning to pop up. That's where some of those gusts could range between about 30 to perhaps even up to 40 miles per hour, and especially there through Snoqualmie Pass, just south of Wenatchee there, and heading along areas of I-90. So keep an eye out for that. We'll see those winds begin to die off as we head into tomorrow night, and it looks like by the time we roll on into Sunday, some more breezy winds will be in place. We'll see if we have to introduce more of a high fire potential heading on into the day there. But hopefully we'll get a little more moisture into the atmosphere as we head on into that point. For the rest of us here west of the Cascades, we got a few events happening since the weather is going to be so nice. So here it is. You can see Capitol Hill Block Party temperatures in the lower 80s. Gates will open here at around 2 p.m. Winneville Fest, we're going to see temperatures around more the 70s, and you can see on into the day on Sunday, calling for temperatures to be in the lower 80s and the 70s, getting closer to the Festival of India in Redmond. That's going to be at noon to 9 p.m., 81 degrees, beautiful, beautiful day there. And you can see for the Art Festival in Tacoma, temperatures in the upper 70s. That's going to take place between 12 p.m. and 7 p.m. All right, here's your forecast. Heading into early Saturday morning, we're going to see those lows between the low to mid 50s. Some areas could even drop maybe a bit cooler, while highs heading into the day on Saturday look to range between the low to mid 80s for areas around parts of central and south sound of the Kitsap Peninsula. Outside of there, expect 70s and then 60s out towards the coastal area. And your 7-day forecast will keep highs, again, pretty close to that 80-degree mark. Maybe a slightly cooler day next Wednesday as we'll have a weak disturbance push on through. No rain, though, really expected to be with that. As that comes on by, we'll just have a limited amount of moisture. Most of that will stay north of the border heading into Canada. All right, everyone, we'll take care. The beautiful summer weather ahead for us here over the next few days, and that smoke haze is completely gone. Enjoy your weekend.
And welcome back to the week. The Little Giant Fire has now burned more than 77,000 acres on the west side of Lake Chelan, and forecasters are watching for stronger winds that could push the fire closer to homes. Firefighters are now preparing for those conditions, while residents are getting ready to evacuate if needed. Those who have already lost so much will tell you the impact of wildfires doesn't end when the flames move on. King 5's Bridget Chavez has been following this story and shows us how one community is preparing for what could come next, while others are still recovering from fires that burned weeks ago.
This is as bad as it gets.
In Chelan County,
it's really, really scary.
Tough choices
we left this afternoon
are being made.
We will stay here even if we get a level 3 evacuation.
As the Little Giant Fire moves closer to communities.
And it's creeping down the valley.
Neighbors are deciding.
Yeah, we have a to-go plan. You take any meds and you take your dog.
What to take?
Hannah's coming with me.
Who's Hannah?
My baby Frenchie.
And what to leave behind.
All the other stuff is just stuff.
Because the way this fire is moving could mean very little time to get out of harm's way.
They're saying this fire is going to be through November, so where else is it going? I don't know.
Along the south shore of Lake Chelan, some residents are preparing to leave by water.
If it gets bad, we can leave in the boat.
That uncertainty stretches to the other side of the lake, where Sheriff Mike Morrison escorted us behind the roadblock and into the level 3 evacuation zone. This is part of the Ineot Valley drainage, and this road is something that has officials extremely concerned because there's only one way in, one way out, and you can see here that the fire is burning extremely close to the road. Still, some people are committed to staying.
We have generators and we can keep our beer cold, and that's what's important.
Even as conditions become more dangerous.
We can survive, and I can jump in the lake and take a bath if I want. I'm okay with that. It's a little cool, but it's fine.
And for those living along Lake Chelan,
Drew has his boat down at the lake, and I can take off through that.
The water is also part of their escape plan.
We're okay to stay here. We're on the water. If things get bad, we can just get out in the boat and take off that way.
From the shoreline,
and this is the spot fire across the lake,
to the mountains above it.
We do have the fears that it's going to come down the Ineot Valley.
The Little Giant Fire is testing nearly every way crews can reach it. Spot fires even crossed Lake Chelan.
We did try to get a hotshot crew out there, and the terrain was too steep and it was too rocky, and we couldn't get them up there.
The Chelan County Sheriff's Marine Unit has been out on the lake warning boaters, campers, and people in remote uplake areas as conditions change.
The level 3 evacuation would really mean we don't want you in that area, but you have the right to be if you're a property owner.
Because this fire is not just moving forward, it's jumping.
Went over the lake.
2.4 miles at a time it would be jumping. That is not a fire that, even with all the resources that are available here in the U.S. is going to be able to get a hold of.
Chelan County Sheriff Mike Morrison says air support has also been difficult to get over the fire.
And one of the biggest frustrations is just the fact that we can't get our air support units up there to fight the fire and be more aggressive on it.
Those access problems are why Morrison says evacuation warnings extend well beyond the flames people can see.
When the wind does shift and start coming down our direction, there's not a lot of time to adjust or act, so we just want to make sure we're prepared.
On the other side of the fire, crews are using old logging roads and controlled burning operations to help protect Lake Wenatchee, Fish Lake, and Plain. More than 1,300 people are assigned to the fire, including more than 100 Washington National Guard members.
We're really just trying to stress to our residents that we can't predict how the fire is going to respond.
More than 1,800 structures are threatened, but Morrison says the number that matters most is how many people get out before the fire forces them to.
For the most part, it's just property, it's your home. We get it's very important, but your life is way more important.
Sheriff Morrison says that he believes this fire could burn into November until snow falls on the ground, putting this out. We've also learned that one person has been injured that was working on this fire. Officials haven't said what that person's job or role was or the extent of those injuries. Through some of the worst air quality on the scale.
Visibility is not good. They call it 500 air quality. That's as bad as it gets.
Bill Roddy steers us up Lake Chelan.
It's got to miss all the logs.
He makes this trip daily.
We'll make it.
Watching the Little Giant fire.
It's definitely getting a little closer.
Checking on homes.
That's what you got to do to protect a house.
And reporting.
This is Phil.
What he sees.
This is where the fire is at right now. I'm 2 miles above 25 Mile Creek.
Phil knows this lake better than most.
This was unbelievable how this was burning. There's the fire crew.
And the people working to protect it.
They're our best friends.
Checking in with the ground crews.
Is it sea rats or what? They bring you T-bones to barbecue?
Jokes aside, Phil knows his role.
I'm no expert in fire. All I know, it's a 4-letter word. But I can come up and I can report what I see.
And today, a neighbor is counting on him to do exactly that.
He said, you'll recognize it because there's a chairlift that came off of Snoqualmie Pass, a chairlift right down on the water.
So we look.
We're gonna find it.
And look. After passing the area where it should have been.
So I'm rattled now. I didn't do my job. I gotta find this thing.
Still no chairlift.
I'll ask him if he's sure it's on Lake Chelan or not.
Back on the shore, Phil waters his home and the one next door, in case embers fly across the lake.
You got no choice. I mean, he helps me when I'm not here.
And if his level 2 evacuation becomes a 3,
I want to protect my house. I don't want to leave, you know.
It's a tough choice to leave, right?
It is. We're going to choose, we'll choose to stay.
The Little Giant fire has been burning for weeks, now at more than 74,000 acres. And tonight, the people living near it, fighting it, and recovering from other fires in the area are bracing for what the wind could bring next. Flames, hazy skies, and plumes of smoke are now a regular sight across Chelan County.
So we're just getting ready in case the fire takes off and comes our way.
As wind and red flag warnings go up,
I've never seen it this dry.
the concern isn't just where the Little Giant fire has been, it's
what's going to happen next. Who's going to get hurt next? Who's going to be the next loss?
Lake Wenatchee Fire and Rescue has been part of the response since day one.
So I've got 2 crews on our engines, so 6 folks on engines, and then I have a tender operator still working to dust abatement of area.
Chief Steve Foley says northwest winds could push the fire closer to this community.
So the people I'm worried about, certainly the folks in our district, we've got full-time homes in the north and south shore.
But where the fire goes next depends on more than just the map.
So there's a game between the weather and the fuels, and we're watching to make sure we kind of have a clue as to where things might be going.
Near Lake Chelan, Leroy Thompson knows that uncertainty well. Now in a level 1 evacuation zone, he says this fire feels a lot like 2015.
We watched the whole thing.
The Chelan complex fire destroyed and damaged dozens of homes and buildings.
Then it crowned and went to the top of the mountain. That was the only time we decided we'd go down to the boats and wait it out.
He's prepared to do it again.
If it gets bad here, and we know we're going to lose our places, we can always get in the boat. So we've got an exit no matter what happens.
Others are still trying to recover from fires that sparked weeks ago.
And now you don't hear Chelan Hills fire on any of the stuff that's out there. And that's the thing.
At the Chelan Donation Center, Casimira Elliott says those victims still need help.
It's not over. They're still trying to rebuild.
What they need most
is cash and gift cards. And when they ask for specific items, water.
But beyond the donations.
And everybody wants to feel heard.
Bridget Chavez, King 5 News.
We want to thank you for joining us. We hope you enjoyed a look at the biggest stories of the week.